Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Charm City Sideline podcast. I am Zach. My co-host Brad is not with us tonight. He is enjoying a couple of days with family, so we had to bring in one of our favorite guests. It is our friend Justin, also known as the Ravens Hub 2 on Instagram. Justin, what's up, my man?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. Wish it could be under better circumstances with how the Ravens have been playing, but there's still a whole month of football left. So, I'm excited to kind of dive into this Ravens Bengals game and see if there's any hope.
Right. Looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, we're on the road to 1K subs. We appreciate it if you guys subscribe, hit the like button if you have not already. But Justin, let's get into it. Before we dive into the Bengals Ravens preview, we do have a special conversation because the Ravens extended D tackle Travis Jones 3 years, $40 million. Honestly, could not be happier with this move. It's almost polar opposite reaction as the Mark Andrews extension, which happens just a little bit ago. But the Travis Jones extension gives you an interior guy that we all love, appreciate. He's not the big flashy stats guy, but he's the dirty work man. And now that we've lost Madubuike, that extension is just, I guess, a glimmer of hope, knowing that we have one of our D-line cornerstone, really, I guess, our only D-line cornerstone going into the next season, signed on for the next 3 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it was imperative that the Ravens re-sign Travis Jones, given the how questionable Madubuike's injury is. We don't know.
Yeah.
So that was incredibly important. And also I was really happy with the value too. I believe that this contract puts Travis Jones as the 26th or the 27th highest paid D tackle in the league, which is incredibly good value because I feel like the value that Travis Jones adds on the football field, like you mentioned before, it's not going to show up in the stats, but he is really good at that nose tackle position, really stuffing the run and setting up other guys for pressures. He takes on a lot of double teams. Just because he's such a big guy and he's so powerful that you need to account for that, especially in the run game. And that's why he works so well with Madubuike. So, of course, ideally, we would have him and Madubuike back playing together at some point because they work really well together. But overall, I mean, this was great value in a season where not a lot has gone right for the Ravens, and that the front office has gotten a lot of criticism for how they've addressed the trenches and roster building. I thought this was a very savvy move by Eric DaCosta, and I think it should be celebrated just as much as we critiqued, how everything has been built to this point. So we need to give Eric his flowers here. This was a great deal.
For sure. It's been loud around the front office and I guess the coaching too, but front office specifically, it's been ugly and that's been put into question. And I'd say without a doubt, Travis Jones has been one of the top 5 biggest positives of the whole year. Like, he genuinely has been a consistent baller for the Ravens when he's been available. So let's get into some matchup history here. Ravens lost to these Bengals on Thanksgiving night under 15 days ago. 32-14 in Baltimore. Thanksgiving night, a primetime night game wearing the Purple Rising. It was a nightmare. Let's just refresh your guys' memory. Lamar Jackson, 2 fumbles, an interception. Isaiah Likely fumble at the goal line. And I'll note he fumbled at the goal line. The Ravens were up 7-6. Total momentum swing there. Say Flowers also fumbled when we were down 29-14 in the fourth quarter. Just ugly. Justin, what would you take away from that game if you have any positives or maybe just negatives?
There was a lot of negatives coming from that game. But I'll start us off with the positives. I thought the defense did an incredible job in that first half, especially in the positions that they were put in. The offense set them up to fail, and they held true in the red zone. I thought that was really, really impressive. And then, of course, you lose Nate Wiggins to that foot injury around the second half, and that was after that, Jamar Chase just kind of had his way, and that Bengals offense. But for what it's worth, they had a really good first half against the Bengals. And we can get into this too with the injuries. But also T. Higgins did not play that game. He's also not going to play this week. He is out with a concussion. So that is also a plus. Obviously, it didn't really matter on Thanksgiving night, but it's nice to have less weapons for Joe Burrow. The negatives were that the second half defense kind of collapsed. They didn't hold as firm. I'm not as upset with them for that. What I'm really frustrated with is the offense, and I think they played a major part in how we lost that game. It did not seem like they were clicking at all. They never got into a momentum, and unfortunately, it was a team wide. Everyone had mistakes, and including Lamar Jackson. It did not. Some of the throws he wasn't hitting that he usually does. Some miscues by receivers, some drops, just really unfortunate. And of course, we can have a whole segment on the offensive line. They just got bullied by a really weak Bengals defensive line. So I've noticed that the once you don't get Lamar Jackson into a rhythm, you don't get this offense into a rhythm, and they never did the whole game. It's not gonna work because you can't rely on your defense to win you games. I don't think this 2025 Ravens defense is gonna win you games. If you're gonna win, it's gonna be because of your offense, and they did not show up on Thanksgiving night.
No, not even a little. It was just total embarrassment. Someone, I think Sutton mentioned it on one of our last podcasts, that it's just Ravens lining up for embarrassment rituals right now. It's over and over and over again. And maybe the future will hold that, but this is a chance to at least get right heading into some very serious and really important matchups against quality opponents. So this game's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. That also happened last week. CBS, 1 p.m. Eastern. Ravens minus 2.5 as the favorite for this game, over under 51.5. The weather is an important note for this one. We usually like to say the weather. It's going to be 11 degrees in Cincinnati. Cold game. Maybe a Derrick Henry game that you allow him to beat up on the defense and take those extra hits like you pay him to do. So let's get into the injury report now. Like you mentioned, Justin, biggest name of all of them is T. Higgins, out with concussion. So again, deja vu. We're not seeing him play versus the Ravens. That's a sigh of relief. But the Ravens, it's another week, another Lamar Jackson rest day that gets taken way, way out of context by the media and goes crazy in headlines. Then Rashad Bateman pops up. He was limited on Thursday, did not practice today, Friday. He's questionable for this game. That's my biggest one to note. And then edge Tavius Robinson and safety Ardarius Washington, both questionable after full practices today. That sounds pretty good as a little lift up for the defense. Justin, what do you think for the injury reports?
Yeah, absolutely. I think getting Tavius Robinson. Well, I'll start with Tavius. Getting Tavius Robinson back is really good for the Ravens, who really like to set the edge. I think as a team and as a defense, their philosophy has been to set the edge and get pressure on the interior. Now Matt is hurt, and that whole operation is kind of exposed right now. But Tavius Robinson has done an excellent job of playing the run, setting the edge, controlling the offensive tackle. And that can allow the Ravens to do a little bit more when it comes to run defense. Now, the pass rush, I don't think it's very minimal what Tavius Robinson
lacking.
is going to. Yeah, it's not going to be we're not going to be expecting a hat trick sack game from Tavius Robinson. So let's just set the expectations straight. The pass rush is still probably not going to be that great, but the run defense should at least get a little better. And especially for a game like this, where it's going to be, like you said, 11 degrees, the Bengals are probably going to want to run the football and establish that and get Joe Burrow in rhythm. So it would be really helpful to have.
Sorry, Justin, my headset just turned off. Okay, sorry.
Oh,
Right, keep going.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, Tavius Robinson coming back, setting the edge and aggressively attacking the run. That's gonna be big. I'm sure they are excited to hopefully have him back, and it kind of sounds like that. It sounds like he might be back this week. Same thing with Ardarius and Ardarius. I think that will be interesting. I wouldn't expect too much from him if he plays this week, because he came off of that nasty Achilles tear in May, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So they're probably gonna have him on a pitch count. But I would be really, really interested to see how they deploy him. I think this defense could use a guy with Ardarius's attitude. He is a very aggressive, very scrappy, physical safety that can play kind of all over. He was the biggest reason for the Ravens defense finally finding its footing last year. Remember when he played back deep and allowed Kyle Hamilton to come up? So it should be really interesting to see how he matches up or how he matches with Malachi Starks and Alohi Gilman back there. I would be really interested to see what their plans are. But if the Ravens are kind of iffy on playing some of these guys, I would push back and say, if we're trying to save these guys, if we're saving them for the playoffs, the playoffs are far, far from a guarantee right now. Yeah. So I think it's in everyone's best interest right now to just play the guys you have. They're available. They're ready. I would love to see both of them out there on Sunday. Bateman's injury is a little worrisome. I would really wish that they would involve him on the offense more. I know they have a lot of mouths to feed, but he did a lot of his best work last year. Killing him on the intermediate and deep routes. I would really love to see them kind of work that in. But if he's hurt, we might not see much of Bateman. It might be a lot of Flowers and a lot of the 3 tight ends.
Yeah, and another name to throw in there is DeAndre Hopkins, who last week in the press conference, Harbaugh said something about involving him more, which I found interesting because I think Ravens fans have been hoping that him and Bateman, I guess, have be more involved in this offense, period. And I guess since, week 5, they've just been very quiet. Maybe a D-Hop clutch play or 2 since then, but that's a literal thing. Literally a couple plays of clutchness from D-Hop. And I think including him more would just benefit the offense, throwing it up to him a few more times, breaking up the Bengals defense, which is pretty poor. But that brings us into our next segment, which is going to cover the Ravens offense versus the Bengals defense specifically on this side of the football. And the last time we played, this was the only thing we could talk about, right? The offense, the Ravens offense playing good, not playing good football, and going into a week where you play a weak defense statistically, and I guess literally, to where you should win this game and put up a serious amount of points. Last time, the Ravens had 4 drives of 50-plus yards, only 14 points scored in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Where you ended up on the field to be throwing these away, many, the likely play, a couple of fumbles where they end up, farther down the field and all, but also you're giving away points in a game that you just needed it. And it felt like you were right there for the entire game. When I mentioned at the very beginning, the likely fumble, we were up 7-6. We had all the momentum. The defense was stopping the Bengals. It felt like we were playing the way we wanted to. Offense moving, defense stopping. What kind of recipe we haven't seen really for the entire season, and completely crapped our pants. And it starts on offense. The Ravens did only get outgained by the Bengals offense by 36 yards. Technically, the yards was close. This game, statistically, until you look at the time of possession, was very close. And it's interesting to see the score be so ugly, as in 32-14, when the Ravens offense could not get going, 5 turnovers and barely getting outgained in yards.
No. I feel like that Thanksgiving game was a microcosm of the entire Ravens season thus far, where some things can go really well, but there's a trade-off, right? So defense was playing very well. They finally stepping up. They're playing pretty well against Joe Burrow, very good quarterback. I understand he was coming back from injury, but I mean, this is Joe Burrow we're talking about, man. And your offense can't can't do anything. So, it's just incredibly frustrating, just to watch, like I mentioned. And I think the Ravens, you can't keep like leaving these points on the board. Like you said, the yards were there. They were getting production, and I think also that's a real testament to Lamar Jackson really pushing through his injury, the injuries, I should say. Some poor offensive line play, some inconsistent receiver play, that they were still able to put yards on the field, but yards don't win games. Points do. So, and this has been a trend, especially with red zone offense too. Monken has taken a severe regression in that regard. Same thing with the offensive line. They just have not been blocking as well as they used to. So I think this is a great opportunity in a very cold game, where when you get hit, it's going to hurt. I think this is perfect to establish the run. And I know we've been saying this all season that they need to establish the run. You're paying Derrick Henry all this money. He's in a Hall of Fame running back, going down as one of the best of all time. This is the perfect opportunity to really impose your will and get back to Ravens football, right? Like this is who we are as a team, but we haven't shown that yet this season. And we're playing against Bengals that are one loss away from being eliminated from the playoffs. And it seems like, that they're kind of, that loss to Buffalo was, I'm sure it was demoralizing for them. So I'm looking at this matchup as a perfect opportunity to, Thanksgiving should have been a get right game, but this can, you're running out of chances, but this could be your next opportunity at a get back game. And, probably one of your last chances. If they lose this game, it's going to be rough trying to figure out any postseason aspirations after this.
Yeah, and it's funny that we're saying all this because we're talking about Ravens offense. Like, as in the last few years, we don't even dream about Lamar Jackson and company scoring under 20 points. Like, there's no possible way. And especially against a Bengals defense. So last time, Ravens and Derrick Henry had 10 carries for 60 yards. Inexcusable. Last week, you see him play super well. Keaton Mitchell gets involved, which I expect to see fully again this week. Yeah. Like, the running game needs to go to the next level. Last week was a chance at it. You corrected the wrong of this awful time of possession mistake that happened. And now, last week was just kind of a weird moment realizing, are we even good enough? Because the Ravens rush for over 200 yards. They control the time possession pretty well, outgain the Steelers. There was so many points that looked like the old Ravens, and then you lose still with the turnover, that it looks better from the week previously with the Bengals seeing 5 turnovers, only 10 carries for Derrick Henry, just the total opposite. Like, you completely forgot your identity. And last week looked more like the Ravens. You did lose, but it looked more like the Ravens that we were thinking about going into the season, which I think is a little light at the end of the tunnel. Just that alone. Yeah. We need to see Derrick Henry 20 plus carries again. Like, absolutely. I know his age is getting up there and it looks like that's impossible to ask for. I promise. I think he is the same animal and beast that we're used to. It's just the offensive line and I guess the play calling haven't given him the chance.
No, absolutely. You hit it on it spot on. And this is the guy that gets better as the game goes on. And I haven't seen them really take advantage of that, especially against defenses that, you're getting into the third quarter, you're getting tired, you don't want to tackle these guys. Derrick Henry is the perfect guy to put out there. Give him all these carries because it's going to add up and they're not going to want to tackle him. And when they do, they're going to be so tired that Derrick Henry is just going to put him in the ground. Yeah. So and of course, that's easier said than of course it's easier said than done with this offensive line. And of course they need to play better. But I think you need to understand where you are in a position where you're with your offensive line and understand that you can't do the things that you ideally would like to do. So I feel like Todd Monken has a responsibility to adjust accordingly. when it comes to like run blocking, they still keep trying to do a lot of the windups, where they have Derrick Henry running in the backfield right off the snap. I think we need to try to put our guards in a little bit of a better position, not excusing them, but they're losing off of these long developing run plays. I think we just need to throw the guys, push them, let's just hit a dude in the face. All right, let's
just hit a dude.
Yeah, just be physical. I want to see them have hunger. This season is on the line. I want them to play like it. So that's when I'm looking at it like that, I want a way more physical game from the Ravens offensive line. I want them to commit to the run, and this is a great opportunity to dominate time of possession, and really impose your will. I keep mentioning, impose your will. This is who the Ravens are. This is how they've won games before, and we need to figure out a way to get back to it, because the way that we're playing right now, it's so inconsistent that it looks bleak.
Yeah. And I'll tell you another thing that gives me a little more hope. The Bengals allow so many yards. They might be the worst in the NFL still. 2 tight ends. Last time we played them, likely almost had 100. 5 catches for 95 yards. Mark Andrews had 4 catches for 47 yards. I wanted to talk about Mark Andrews with you too, because Andrews has been under a very bright spotlight with Ravens fans, and I guess technically the media too, with not seeing the production we're used to from him. Again, a chance to right that wrong, like the title of this video, a chance at redemption for him in a game where they need a superstar to emerge. Zay Flowers had 2 catches for 6 yards. They might just take him out of the game, especially if Bateman's not going. So honing in on the tight ends to beat the Bengals. Let Lamar go back to the basics, where we were like, hey, Lamar, maybe pass to the wide receivers a little. You don't have to be the number one by a ton getting it to the tight ends. Maybe we switch that up. But now it feels like another chance to get that. And hopefully the Ravens game plan is much better and much better executed upon offensively. You got anything else to add on the offensive side? Any X factors you're looking for?
Okay, so I think the key players that I'm going to be watching that I think are going to make the game is obviously Derrick Henry. Like I mentioned before, I would like to see Pat Ricard kind of get up and get aggressive too. I would like to see him used a lot more. And the
maybe a little Keaton Mitchell in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you could pair up Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell, because I think this is a great game to have that kind of 1-2 punch. This is the perfect game actually to have that 1-2 punch, especially if the defense is tired and they're hurt and it's cold, and then all of a sudden Keaton Mitchell breaks off like a 50-yard run, and
that's a blur.
Oh yeah, and you're not catching him. So, but yeah, I really do think that this game is going to come down to the fundamentals of running the ball and blocking, and I think it is going to rest on Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah, and I hope there's some more. We saw a couple of, I'm going to say it, superstar level plays from Keaton Mitchell last week, and I'm ready to see that again this week. Getting an extra spark from someone that's not the main offensive guys that we keep talking about. Total sigh of relief for, I'm assuming, the offensive line. Lamar. Seeing, I only know it as a basketball reference, but seeing one go through the hoop, seeing a couple easy makes, easy, well executed stuff against the defense that doesn't seem like they can really stop you in that way, besides I guess last time with turnovers. So hold on to the ball, start working the time of possession, because apparently you're well able to. Last week 200 something yards rushing.
You
can do it, and I hope they do stick to it. So let's switch sides, Justin. Bengals offense versus the Ravens defense. You could say this is also a big discussion of the last 2 weeks too, where against the Bengals, 32 points allowed, but it's also, you saw such a good looking Ravens defense in the first half, and then poor in the second half, like you mentioned earlier this episode. The Bengals offense, remember when I said earlier with the Ravens offense, Ravens had 4 drives of 50+ yards. Bengals only had 3. They just got set up so many times with the turnovers that it was like, okay, well, I guess we're just going to take this layup. I guess we're just going to maybe go 20 yards and score. Their drives were short for the most part in their scoring drives, but also in the second half, all but the forced fumble from Travis Jones were scoring drives for the Bengals. The Ravens defense got smacked around. I'm hoping to see turnovers and sacks, which you saw none of last week against the Steelers. Both 0 sacks, 0 turnovers. Inexcusable. First time that the defense just looked completely poor. It was an Aaron Rodgers throwing against you with DK Metcalf last week. And before that, it was still 7 catches, 100-something yards for Jamar Chase. So where do you think the Ravens defense can go to hope and help upset the Bengals on this side?
Yeah. I think obviously, like you said, like the key things that we're gonna need this game is going to be sacks. Now, I'm not sure they can get the sacks, so I'll move on to turnovers, which I think they can get. And I think the way that you can get it is deploying Kyle Hamilton. Even like he's been playing in the box a lot more, and I understand that he's been kind of hurt off and on the past few weeks, but I think we need to start sending him to the hit the quarterback more. I didn't see enough of it last week. I didn't see too much of it against Cincy. I think once Kyle Hamilton starts rushing the passer, he's so good at it as a safety that it opens up lanes for other players too. And it can, especially early on in the game, that this can kind of disrupt Joe Burrow and get the Bengals offense out of rhythm. We need stops. I think playing Kyle Hamilton as close to the line of scrimmage this game, within reason, can really impact the defense, especially that front seven that hasn't been playing to the standard that the Ravens organization and the fans are used to. So getting Kyle Hamilton back there is going to be huge. We're getting I'm going to move over to the corners now. We're getting Nate Wiggins back, hopefully for 2 full halves of football against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I also want to talk about Chido Awuzie. He had a really good game against Jamar Chase when he was matched up on him, especially in that first half. Him and Nate Wiggins were really holding down the fort. Yeah. They were playing really well. And it's also helpful that Chido practiced against Jamar Chase when he was a Bengal for at least
a long time.
Yeah. So he knows Jamar Chase, he knows his tendencies. So that's incredibly helpful and beneficial to have. So, I'm fully confident in this cornerback room. I think they can get it done against some of these receivers. I don't want to discount, or I don't want to discredit or underestimate, I should say, Jamar Chase. Because we've all seen what happens, what he does to the Ravens. No matter how confident I think I am going into the matchup, no matter how confident I am in Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey, I would go in and I'm like, all right, this is gonna be the week, and then he rips off another 100-some yards every game. And I posted on my story a few days ago. I don't know if it was yesterday. That I thought we were done with all this Ravens nonsense with AJ Green when he went, I believe he went to Arizona after that. I'm like, oh, thank God. And then they drafted Jamar Chase, and he's arguably been even better against the Ravens. Yeah. So, I don't know. So he's going to be a major factor, obviously. He's going to be a major factor. It's up to Zach Orr and the Ravens corners to handle business. And a lot of eyes are going to be watching that pass rush. And if they can't get it done, then Jabar's going to have all day to throw, and Jamar Chase or some of their other young receivers have actually been playing pretty well for them thus far. Tinsley has been playing well. So you gotta factor those guys in. So we need a really good game from the pass rush, and I think, tying back to my original point and to wrap it up here, getting Kyle Hamilton closer to the line of scrimmage, have him rush the passer, just get him active, get him at the offensive line, batting balls down, like that will disrupt the Bengals, and you just trust your guys in the back, and you trust Starks and Gilman to handle business back there and execute. and then I'm feeling better. But that's the Ravens are going to have to take care of business in the trenches on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And what I found interesting about last week when the Bengals played the Bills, the Bengals looked really good. I would say both sides until the fourth quarter. There was a couple of turnovers that Burrow had that were tipped plays. Like one, I think at the line of scrimmage where a D lineman got a hand on it. The D line for the Ravens has a real chance to disrupt this game. And again, redeeming themselves of a very poor performance a couple weeks ago. Week 13, 128 rushing yards. I feel like that's a lot from usually Ravens defensive past. And I think you can point to a lot of superstars on the Ravens team, but this is a funny way to say I think the D-line has to be the superstar, and maybe coupling it with a couple of really good Roquan Smith weeks that we've seen in disrupting their rush attack and not allowing, anything more than 6 yards on first or second down to get off the field more. The time possession was just disgusting last time, almost like a 2-to-1 scale in that way last time, like almost 40 minutes of time possession for the Bengals, just disgusting. So I'm hoping the defense can provide at least a turnover or two to disrupt that. And I know that Burrow is one of the best in the league at quick pass stuff, because I think that's just what the Bengals want to do with how bad their line is. He's been in the media a ton this week talking about how much he's been sacked, and yet the Ravens have this problem about even getting to him. So I'm sure if you're not disrupting him at all, like he said in this press conference, he's having a good time. He's having a fun time playing football because he's untouched, undisrupted, and dominating football. It's the Ravens' nightmare. Like, what is it? He scored I saw some NFL post. He's like he set the fourth most passing yards in a game against the Ravens way back when. It just nightmare fuel. You have a chance to shut up Jamar Chase, shut up Joe Burrow, a redeeming chance at that. And I really hope the team is pissed off and going into this series, because what we've seen from the Ravens, I guess last week you showed life, but last week you could tie it up to coaching, you could tie it up to turnover, but you have chances to win these games, that you still control your destiny going into the playoffs, getting into the playoffs, hopefully. But it's looking dimmer and dimmer by the moment. So again, a game that is always feels like a coin flips chance for who wins these, and a team that the Ravens have dominated of the last 4 or 5 years, I guess. Besides a couple of injury ridden ones.
Right.
But I really need to see some life in them. Funny enough, if there's any chance of keeping John Harbaugh, if the Ravens get smacked around in this game, and if it looks the exact same as last week with the Steelers, I think the noise in the locker room, whether it's paying attention to his message, it's going to be so loud, and I think our chances are just going to fly out the window as the Bengals, who are 4-9. I don't think I've said that yet today. Is that right? 4-9?
I believe they are 4-9. Yeah.
4-9. And they just have this arrogance about them that they just want to beat the Ravens. Sure, it's the NFL. You got to prep no matter what. But the Bengals on both sides of the ball right now are feeling more confident than the Ravens are, which I can't believe I just said that out loud, dude.
I know. Yeah. No, it's insane. And to go off on your Harbaugh point, I think we're going to really see like what Harbaugh is made of at this moment, because we've seen Harbaugh rally teams before, especially in December. So he has done this in the past. Now the question is, does he have at least another one in him this season? And I think this is going to be really telling. Obviously the next few weeks are going to be under a microscope. I'm sure Bisciotti's watching extra hard to see if changes do need to be made. And if they lose this game, the chances of him staying, I feel like are incredibly low. because of just how the Ravens entered this season with Super Bowl aspirations. They were touted as one of the most talented rosters in the league, and now we're in December talking about the Ravens needing to win out to even make the playoffs. So we're gonna see how this goes. But like I said, Harbaugh has a track record. He has done this in the past. And I personally am ready to give up on him, but we still got a few weeks, so we'll see how the organization feels. And if they take care of business this week, I'm not sure that really helps his case, but it buys him some more time.
Yes.
Especially with the next slate of primetime games coming up.
Yes. Yeah, those are going to be, talk about under a microscope, and Bishotti watching them so closely.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Now both of those games turning to primetime matchups. The world is watching too. And if we're 6-8 by the end of this one, and then maybe up to 6-10 going into the Steelers last week of the year, I mean, you can't even say that there's a slim chance that Harbaugh's back. No. And I'd say right now, like I was going to ask you a percent chance you would put right now, like if the season ended right now, what the Ravens would do. Because we had Sutton of the Purple Rain podcast on last time, and he was like, I still have this awful little devil on my shoulder saying, I don't think he's gone yet. Like there's still, I'd still say there's a 40% chance we keep him, at maybe a 50. Like, and that's thinking real percentages. Like,
yes.
What would you say as a number?
Yeah, no, I think I would agree. I think if the season ended right now, we currently have a losing record right now, right? We're at 6-7. And that is not Ravens football, and we are not used to that, and the organization is not used to that, and the fans are 100% not used to that. So, and there's a standard in Baltimore. So I think if the season ended right now, we're looking at a solid 40% chance he stays. I think I would have to agree. I think if we lose this week, then the chances plummet. But if we win, maybe I'm thinking 45%. It buys them a little bit more time, but I'm not ready to go to 50% quite yet. I think the way that this season has been going, and if it ended today, the Ravens have been trending down. They've been incredibly disappointing, and it has all happened under Harbaugh's leadership. And I think it's about time for the Ravens to have kind of like a soft, not a rebuild, but a soft little reset here, and kind of infuse this team with, some more a different vision. And then also have some talent turnover too. And I could get into all the free agents that are scheduled to hit the market. That's a whole thing. But like this would be the perfect opportunity for the Ravens, I think, to kind of start fresh, have some roster turnover, and have the new coach come in and give some of his thoughts and his vision, and hopefully have a plan in place for Lamar and building this offense. I am getting ahead of myself. Harbaugh still is the coach of the Ravens, but I'm making the case. I think this, if Harbaugh is gone, this would be. I feel like this is the perfect time to do it, because I think this is the Ravens' last chance with this core group of guys to go and win a Super Bowl. And if it doesn't happen, then we're gonna see some change.
Yeah, and I guess I want to think about it as in with percentage chance, where if I say it's 50% this week, like right now, I would call it a coin flip if he would be fired or not.
Yeah.
Every week until then, if it is a loss, it's going down by at least 10%, if not maybe 15. It's
Absolutely.
continuing to drop. But I still think this organization is still arrogant with that, where they would think, no, Harbaugh's our guy, just like how Mark Andrews, who did you dirty, is still our guy. So we'll have to see, bro. That we'll have to have you back on whenever more news like that starts to break. But before we end this, we want to get some score predictions. This is rough, Justin. It hurts me to say. If anyone wants to comment their score prediction, please do.
Yeah.
Dude, the Ravens are favored in this somehow. It's in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think if not all of the money, most of it, whether that's 80% plus, is on the Bengals because of last week, the week before with the Ravens and how they had their number. It doesn't really make sense how the Ravens are favored in this game. So if they're getting points, I would take it. And I think that's how I'm going to think. With this one, where I think the Ravens just aren't in a good spot right now mentally. I'm going to say the Ravens lose 24-26. I'm going to call it 2 points. And again, go in the direction that we're thinking right now, which is another percent downward for Harbaugh's chances of sticking around.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I do not really, the Ravens have not shown me enough that that will make me believe that they can sweep the Bengals, which is a very disappointing and frustrating sentence to even say out loud about this Ravens team. So if the offense still continues to sputter, I'm not expecting points. I would imagine if the Ravens lose, they're probably scoring under 20, I think. So I would imagine it would maybe be like a 27-17 loss in the Bengals' favor. It's difficult to predict against the Ravens. I usually try to find some kind of positive spin, and I think it's very possible that they could win. This would be the perfect opportunity for them to win, and this would be such a Harbaugh win if he did. But the offensive line is still not producing. If the play calling tendencies are still there, where they're trying things that just aren't working, that they would love to work in an ideal world, but unfortunately it's December. This is not an ideal world. We're dealing with, the hand that we're dealt. I think I'll lock it in. I think if this game goes the way that I think it's going to go 27-17 Ravens loss.
Ooh, 10-point loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'd be knocking at Harbaugh's door for Shoddy, but I wish I knew what they were thinking right now.
Me too.
It feels like it's such a toss-up on how the Ravens have thought of, I guess, the last 2 weeks with someone like Andrews, and then also in the past with if the Ravens were not going to make the playoffs, they were going to cut ties with Harbaugh way back, 2018 or so? Yeah. So, hey, maybe this is a chance for Harbaugh to get right in needing to, because I can't imagine a lost Ravens locker room and team and coach going into Patriots week, the number 1 seed in the AFC, and then Packers week in Lambeau.
Oh, that game scares me. That game scares me more than the Pats, because going into Lambeau on primetime in December is not easy.
Yeah, and both of them, I think, NBC coverage, like, everyone's going to be seeing them. Everyone's going to be seeing this game, and it'll get really, really loud if the Ravens were to drop those. But we're hoping for a Ravens win no matter what. Appreciate you guys coming through. Appreciate you, Justin, for coming on, man. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm most active on my Instagram page at the Ravens Up 2. You can also find me on Twitter. I sometimes tweet at Hub Ravens. So you can find me there. I'm constantly posting football analysis, my thoughts, opinions. I've been going a lot into the Ravens offseason plans and what could happen with free agency. So if that's interesting at all to you, go ahead and give me a follow. We can talk about it and have some discussions. But yeah, no, you can find me at the Ravens Up 2 on Instagram and at Hub Ravens on Twitter.
Yeah, one of the best. Appreciate you, Justin. Appreciate everyone for coming by. Prime Trust, Living Legend. I'm gonna get some shout outs here. Brandon Tillman. Yeah, appreciate you guys coming through to plug. Yeah, and we're gonna hope for Ravens win, even though we both predicted a loss. Like,
my fingers crossed.
We're in some rough times. Appreciate you guys for coming through and staying loyal. That is a big deal. So yeah, we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.